The elevator was an iron cage, a relic from a bygone era. Its metal bars, once gleaming with pride, now stood tarnished and weary, bearing the weight of countless journeys. Each creak and groan of its ancient mechanisms told a story of time's relentless march. A metal box suspended by fraying ropes, it seemed to defy gravity itself. The ropes, once robust and reliable, now appeared fragile, as if a single breath could snap them. They swayed gently, whispering secrets of the past, of days when the elevator was the pinnacle of modernity, a grim monument to fear itself. No one spoke of it, no one dared. Its steel doors whispered tales of trapped souls and forgotten screams. The scratches on the interior walls were not just marks, they were desperate attempts to escape, to break free from the iron grip of the cage. It lurked at the end of the hallway, its presence casting a long, cold shadow. The hallway, once bustling with life, now stood silent, as if the very walls held their breath in fear of the iron cage. The elevator's shadow seemed to stretch endlessly, a dark reminder of its ominous presence. The air grew heavy, it smelled of rust and ozone, a scent that clung to the nostrils and refused to let go. The walls, covered in rust, seemed to pulse with a life of their own, each flake of metal a testament to the passage of time and the countless hands that had touched them. A metallic tang that sent shivers down your spine. It was a smell that evoked memories of old machinery, of forgotten places, and of a time when the world was simpler, yet filled with its own set of fears. The iron cage was not just an elevator, it was a relic, a ghost of the past forever haunting the present. Sarah, a young intern, stepped inside. The air turned frigid, biting at her skin. The flickering fluorescent light buzzed overhead, casting grotesque shadows that danced with the rhythm of her racing heart. She pressed the button for the 10th floor. Nothing. She pressed it again, harder this time. The elevator lurched, throwing her off balance. A low groan echoed through the shaft. It was moving. Down. Mark, a night shift nurse, dreaded his encounter with the elevator. Every night, as the clock struck midnight, he felt a chill run down his spine. The hospital, usually bustling with activity, would fall eerily silent. The fluorescent lights cast long shadows, and the only sounds were the distant beeps of medical machines and the occasional murmur of a patient. Mark had always been a rational man, but the stories he had heard about the hospital's elevator made him uneasy. He had heard the whispers. Colleagues spoke in hushed tones about the strange occurrences. Some said they had felt an icy presence, while others claimed to have seen fleeting shadows. The stories varied, but they all had one thing in common: the elevator. It was as if the elevator had a life of its own, a malevolent force that thrived in the darkness. He had seen the fear in the eyes of his patients. Those who had been in the elevator during the night spoke of an overwhelming sense of dread. Their eyes would widen, and their voices would tremble as they recounted their experiences. Mark couldn't shake off the feeling that something was terribly wrong with that elevator. One night, as he rode it up to the intensive care unit, it shuddered to a stop. The sudden jolt made his heart race. He pressed the buttons frantically, but the elevator remained still. The walls seemed to close in on him and the air grew thick with tension. He could hear his own heartbeat, loud and fast, echoing in the confined space. The lights went out, plunging him into absolute darkness. Panic set in as he realized he was trapped. The silence was deafening, broken only by the occasional creak of the elevator. Mark's mind raced with thoughts of the stories he had heard. Was he about to experience the same horrors? He fumbled for his phone, the cold metal a comfort in his trembling hand. The screen's faint glow provided a small sense of relief. He quickly dialed for help, his voice shaking as he explained his situation. Minutes felt like hours as he waited for a response. The darkness seemed to press in on him, and every sound was amplified. Finally, a voice on the other end assured him that help was on the way. Mark clung to that hope, praying that he would soon be free from the elevator's grip. He was trapped. Minutes stretched into an eternity as he waited, each tick of his watch a hammer blow to his sanity. Then, a voice, a soft, mournful whisper right next to his ear. "Get out!" it hissed. The elevator lurched back into motion, rocketing upwards with terrifying speed. The whispers followed Sarah. In the dead of night, she would hear them, slithering from the shadows of her apartment. They spoke of cold metal and endless darkness. She tried to forget the elevator, to erase the memory of its chilling touch, but the fear lingered, a knot of dread that tightened its grip with each passing day. Old man Jeb, the building's janitor, knew the elevator's secrets. He had worked in the building for over 3 decades, witnessing its transformation from a bustling hub of activity to a quieter, almost eerie place. The elevator, however, remained a constant, a silent observer of the passage of time. Jeb had always felt a strange connection to it, as if it held a piece of his own history within its metallic walls. He had seen things, heard things, that would make your blood run cold. Late at night, when the building was empty and the only sound was the hum of the elevator, Jeb would hear whispers, faint and indistinct, as if the walls themselves were trying to communicate. He had seen shadows move in ways that defied explanation, and once he swore he saw a figure standing at the end of the hallway, only to vanish when he approached. He told stories of a tragic accident, a life lost within the elevator's cold embrace. It was a tale he recounted with a heavy heart, the memory of a young woman who had met her untimely end. The accident had left a mark on the building, a scar that never truly healed. Jeb believed that her spirit lingered, trapped between floors, unable to find peace. He often wondered if she was trying to communicate, to tell her story through the strange occurrences that plagued the elevator. He spoke of a vengeful spirit, trapped within its metallic confines, feeding on the fear of those who dared to enter. The elevator had become a place of dread, a vessel for the supernatural. Jeb had seen the terror in people's eyes, the way they would hesitate before stepping inside. Some claimed to feel a cold presence, an invisible hand that seemed to push them away. Others reported hearing a woman's voice, soft and mournful, echoing through the empty shaft. He warned people to stay away, to take the stairs. Jeb's warnings were often met with skepticism, but those who ignored him soon learned the truth. The elevator was not just a machine, it was a gateway to something beyond, a place where the past and present intertwined. Jeb continued his duties, ever watchful, knowing that the secrets of the elevator were his to guard. He hoped that one day, the spirit would find peace, and the building could finally be free of its haunting presence. But there was no escape. The elevator held them captive, its presence a constant threat. It was a malevolent entity, toying with them, feeding on their terror. The air grew colder, the lights flickered more violently. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, a chorus of tormented souls echoing through the shaft. Mark and Sarah found themselves drawn back to the elevator, their fear pulling them towards the very thing they dreaded most. They knew they had to confront it, to face the darkness that lurked within. They stepped inside, their hands trembling, their hearts pounding in their chests. The doors slid shut, sealing their fate. The elevator lurched into motion, this time with a sickening, grinding sound. The lights went out, plunging them into absolute darkness. The whispers surrounded them, a symphony of terror. The elevator continued its ascent, higher and higher, until it disappeared into the darkness above. The cable hung limply from the open shaft door. Silence. The elevator never returned.